leave a couple of minutes for some people that is still coming in, and we may proceed in just a couple of minutes here.
Francisco, tell us a story from your life to continue. Make a joke, please.
Okay, it's not a joke, but today I got scheduled for my vaccine tomorrow morning. First shot, so it's good news. Day started good. Let's do everything to finish also good for today. Well, I think we may proceed with our event for today. So as I mentioned before, we have today. Oh, first, I would like to ask everyone to keep your microphones in mute to not create any disturbance to the flow of the conversation. And you can raise your hand in case you would like to make any questions or any comment. Anyway, we will have question and answers at the end of our session today. So as I said, we're pleased to have Tony Ennis, Vice President of Business Development at Impax Sales Performance, a leading company in commercial trainings in the States. So I would like to invite Tony to introduce himself and also give us a brief introduction about Impax Sales Performance. Tony.
Great. Thank you, Francisco. And I'm really excited to be here with you all this evening. It's such an honor to join DSI Partners Consulting for this event and to just share some perspective with you. As Francisco said, my name is Tony Ennis, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Impax Sales Performance based in the United States. My career really spans approximately 25 years of B2B sales, marketing, and sales leadership in the consumer products, education, and financial services markets. I am based in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the United States. And my company, Impax Sales Performance, is a recognized global leader in helping B2B organizations more effectively position their value to their customers. We've been honored in a number of ways, such as being recognized as a Selling Power Top 20 sales training firm for many years in a row, including recently just announced again for 2021. So we're very honored by those types of recognitions, but none more so than the clients that invite us into their business on a daily basis. And so again, I'm very happy to be here with you, and I'm very excited to join the conversation with Francisco Lorenzo and the rest of the team at DSI Partners.
Okay, thank you, Tony. I would like to use 1 or 2 minutes top just to share with our audience about DSI and our academy as well. So I have a few slides that I would like to share with you just to introduce our company. So we're DSI Partners, and we are an international strategy and management boutique. And we are specialized in disruptive strategy, transformational strategy, and digital transformation, which includes many aspects of a business, okay? And we serve both B2B and B2C models all across Latin America. As a matter of fact, I am not at this moment in Brazil. I am based in Colombia as part of our international strategy. We have an exclusive methodology called Mutatis, and it is one of the benefits of this methodology is that it is both a structured but also flexible approach. So it allows us to adapt to any situation our work or our workflow. And another characteristic of our job is that we get involved in the execution of the projects, especially because we believe deeply on the knowledge transfer as a base of a transformation. And our focus obviously is adding value and the total customer satisfaction. We also have a DSI Academy, which is first business school in Latin America specialized in transformational strategy, is one of our BUs, and it gives us extremely high synergy between both consulting and academy. Our team is a group of high talented and experienced professionals with long careers in the market all across Latin America. We have many nationalities, speak 3 languages, well, at least 3 languages, and we cover many areas from financial, sales, logistics, customer service, etc. All the disciplines that we can support our customers. As I said, we have the consulting business unit, which is focused on disruptive, transformational, and digital transformation strategy, covering many areas of any organization. And we also have the academy, which is an experience-based learning, and we focus on the how. Many tell you what you have to do. Few can tell you how you have to do it. And because of that, we have a number of programs that covers some of the areas that I already mentioned. And I am one of the trainers for this, including 2 international partnerships, one of them with Impax, which is our guest today. As I said, we have Impax, basically focused on sales, but also we have, for the digital, we have an international partnership with Burn the Sky. If you have any request for information, you can contact us with the information. I will display again at the end of the presentation. Thanks very much. With that, I would like to formally announce or disclose that we have this partnership with Impax that we are honored and proud to have to represent them in the best way and distribute their contents all along Latin America. And with that, I would like to start, Tony, trying to understand in the current environment, and I guess beyond the situation that we already know about the pandemic, it is usual that we see that most of the companies, they declare they are value-driven, but with more demanding customers and increasing competitions, the very same companies, executives, they are kind of forced to compete on the price to survive. So I would like to see what is your perception about that?
Well, I really appreciate the question, Francisco, and you're right. value leading companies, the market leading companies, can definitely feel forced to reduce the level of their competition down to price, because there are so many trends and dynamics in the marketplace that, quite honestly, are seeking to erode the customer's perception of their value. These trends include low price competition, more sophisticated procurement practices used by B2B organizations, and quite honestly, the own behavior of the company's sales professionals themselves. You see, we believe at Impax that an organization, a customer, will develop a perception of the value that you bring to their organization. And there are a variety of levels that they may recognize you at. And so, for example, you might be recognized as a vendor. And as a vendor, you're typically assessed based on your price, and usually the lowest price possible. Now, there's a step up. Perhaps the organization is able to identify the customer's needs, requirements, or even a pain point, and then propose a solution to address those characteristics. And in that situation, the customer might recognize you or the company as a problem solver. And that's very good. It's great. We just believe there's more. There's a higher level to aspire to and a higher level to achieve. You might be recognized as a business resource, somebody your customer turns to when they need help driving their business results. Or you might reach the pinnacle of the customer's perception of value and be recognized as a strategic resource, somebody that the customer turns to for advice and guidance as they develop their strategy. What we believe so often is wherever you might fall within those levels, you typically have earned your spot based on the way that you engage with your customers. And so there's an awful lot that goes into how customers will perceive the value that comes from the relationship with your company. But as we'll discuss in a little bit, we think the basis of that customer relationship has shifted.
Interesting. Well, I guess it is recognized probably by most of the companies, and they recognize that pressure, let's say. But I wonder if there are any kind of strategies that would allow you to turn it around. And as a matter of fact, where would you start with?
Yeah. I think it's a great question, Francisco. And the place where I would start to turn that perception around is to develop your own mindset for being a value leader or a market leader, because the sales organization needs to believe in the value that they and your company brings to customers. They have to believe that they can be a strategic resource to their customers rather than just a vendor. And so I'd start there by building that mindset and culture and belief in the fact that you and your sales organization brings great value to customers. Next, I would strongly recommend carefully assessing, qualifying, selecting, and scoring opportunities that truly represent the highest probability of fit for your organization. What we find, Francisco, is that many global sales organizations pursue absolutely every opportunity, regardless of whether or not it makes sense or whether or not there's a decent fit. We strongly encourage being very discerning about the opportunities you pursue. Here's why. Your time, your organization's time, your selling capacity is a precious resource and should be carefully monitored. Pursuing only those opportunities that represent the highest probability of fit will make the best use of your resource. And what we find is that when that is done, organizations will actually pursue fewer opportunities, but realize better results. So those are two steps. The next step, Francisco, is that I would seek to understand the customer's business. You see, so many of us in sales, business development, and account management, we have been conditioned to pitch ourselves, our product, our services, our solutions, and our company as often as possible.
Mhm.
But in the end, if we're doing that, we're actually acting like a vendor. We need to really seek to understand the customer's business, where they are, their profile, what they do, how they do it, their mission, vision, values, why they exist. But we also need to understand where they're going and what they hope to accomplish, their business objectives. These tend to be quantifiable and time-bound measures that you would oftentimes see on a financial statement like a P&L. Now, these are the things that the organization hopes to accomplish. But as you shared earlier about the how, we also need to understand how that organization is going to accomplish their objectives, what strategies they plan to put in place to accomplish those objectives, and then also seek to understand the issues that they may face as they implement those strategies. With that perspective, you have a decent understanding of the customer's business direction. And with that, I think you're in a better position to highlight the value that you can bring to the customer rather than just pitching your solutions.
Well, I have to say that sounds great. That sounds great. It's music to my ears. But when I see it's not well. When I see the reality, is I see companies struggling to survive.
Mhm.
They're squeezing costs. They're narrowing portfolios, and of course the sales teams are under tremendous pressure to deliver results. So it seems that understanding the customer's business, and have to say this, some people may think is a waste of time. So why is so important to understand your customer's business?
Well, I agree with you, Francisco. There needs to be a purpose to just going out and understanding your customer's business. And that purpose comes from the fact that we believe the foundation and nature of the customer relationship has dramatically shifted. So in the past, the customer relationship was based on us understanding the customer's unique needs and matching our solutions to them. We call that solution fit.
Oh, okay.
But things have changed, and that's not enough anymore. We believe that the basis of the customer relationship now is based in our ability to determine, understand, and demonstrate how working with the customer, we can support their business direction and affect their business performance. And in order to do that, we have to understand their business. So I'll give you a brief story, Francisco. It was actually a situation that occurred in Canada. And there was a large specialty chemicals company that sold agricultural chemicals. And they were working with the largest grain distributor in all of Canada. And the representative was very concerned. He was in a position like you just shared, Francisco. He was getting squeezed. He was under pressure to drop his price. And he was fearful that he was going to get eliminated by this customer because the customer had just announced that they were going to implement a vendor rationalization strategy to create efficiency by reducing the number of suppliers in their network. And the client, the provider, the specialty chemicals company, was by far and away the highest priced provider. So the representative was concerned they were going to get eliminated. But he took a different approach. He put in place an approach to understand the customer's business and get access to the right person so that he could share with that person how working together they could support the customer's operating initiatives. And in this case, the senior executive was very concerned about two things: improving gross margin and improving customer satisfaction. Now, prior to understanding that, the specialty chemical company representative was just trying to fight for his position based on price. But with some learning, with some research, he was able to understand that how working together with his customer, they were able to increase gross margin through the sale of their products and improve customer satisfaction by putting in place some logistics solutions that would provide just-in-time delivery of specialty chemicals at the various sites of the customer. This appealed to the more senior level decision maker, as opposed to the kind of lower level vendor analysts that the representative was working with previously. They were given the job to eliminate suppliers based on price. However, the highest price supplier was able to succeed because he was able to demonstrate that working together, the customer was able to charge more for their premium solution, that the end consumer trusted the two brands of these two organizations together. They were willing to pay more for it. Oddly, the majority of the top selling gross margin products at the grain broker came from the specialty chemical company that we're talking about. Now, just imagine if they had been eliminated because they were the highest price. The grain brokerage would have also lost the top selling gross margin producing products in their retail environment. But with research and with understanding and access to the right person, the specialty chemical representative was able to highlight that part of the relationship, demonstrate how the relationship co-created value in terms of business performance. And that is why it's so important to understand the customer's business.
Well, that's a great story, and it illustrates very well how better you can do when you get to that point.
Right.
I wonder. Impax is a worldwide recognized top sales training company. I wonder if you can give us some idea about some best practices that you or Impax recommend to elevate that customer's perception of value and definitely stop competing for price.
Yeah, absolutely. And Francisco, I think first we need to recognize that what the customer cares about most is their business performance. They don't care as much about the details of our solution and us as a company. They care about their own business performance. And if we have that mindset, that the customer cares most about their own business performance, and that our job as business development professionals is to articulate how we, working together with the customer, are able to support their business performance, we'll be in great shape. That's why I talk about the fact that the nature of the customer relationship has evolved dramatically recently. Now, in terms of best practices, we've already touched on a few of them. First, having a positive mindset, having a value mindset, because If we don't believe in the strategic value that we bring to the customer sure won't believe it. So we have to have that mindset that we are a value leader. Next, as we shared before, the next best practice is to select and qualify and pursue only the opportunities that represent the highest probability of fit. And then, as we said, understand the customer's business, but it might be a question on others' minds, just how do we do that? How do we understand the customer's business? Well, we think about this in very practical terms, Francisco. We believe there's two types of research that you can do to understand the customer's business. That you can conduct data research, go out and learn about the publicly available facts and figures that the company posts online on their website or on their social media channels. You can learn an awful lot about a company based on what they provide out to the digital world. And we call that data research. Secondly, we believe it's important to also conduct information research. Information is the inside story, the insider perspective, and you can only learn the information from the customer by actually talking with them. And when it comes to talking with them, we call that conversation a research meeting. This is a really different type of customer meeting. You might remember I shared that so many of us have been trained to pitch ourselves.
Yeah.
At Impax believe that customers are far more likely to engage with you if they are the subject of your interest rather than the victim of your pitch. And so we want to have this research meeting before we ever try to pitch. We want to have a research meeting that is 100% focused on learning, listening to the customer, asking a few good questions, but then just listening and learning. Then you can take all that you've learned from data and information and begin to understand what your business fit is. And that's the next best practice. Be clear about the business fit between you and your customer. Now, we define business fit as how the two organizations, you and your customer, working together, support the customer in attaining their direction through the achievement of their objectives, implementation of their strategies, and addressing or resolving their business issues. To be clear about that business fit is essential. Now, you might ask, where does solution fall into this? We believe solution and solution fit is so important. We believe that's the rocket fuel to business fit. It's when we talk about the what and the how, the what can be viewed as business fit. This is how working together will support your business direction. But how do we do that? Oftentimes, it's done through the implementation of our solutions, but not just our solutions. You see, we have other sources of value that we bring to the customer relationship in addition to our solutions. You see, we bring things like our experience, our network, our creativity, other functions that might exist within our organization that can bring unique perspective and experience to the customer. All of those are potential sources of value that we bring to the customer relationship. So being clear about that business fit is really important. Now, another best practice that we recommend is to develop a very clear relationship strategy. You know, we strongly encourage people to develop something that we call a coach. A coach is an advocate, somebody that wants you to win, because if you win, they win. There's something good that comes from you succeeding. And so we want to develop those coach relationships and a strong network of coaches so that we have their assistance. But we also have to recognize there are some people that might wish to stand in our way. and block our path to success. We call those people gatekeepers. And so we have to be really intentional about how we address them in a very professional way. So those are some of the best practices that we'd recommend.
That's interesting, and thanks very much for so many insights and deep thoughts about the relationship is more than just having a coffee with customer, right, and talking about last Sunday football game or something like that. But in the current environment, in business environment, we watch more and more the digital transformation in action. Yep. Artificial intelligence is everywhere. Machine learning is developing incredibly, and it's taking more and more control on human activities. And the best practices, and you mentioned right now the last ones, are based on human relationships. So how you develop that and kind of escape from a decision made by artificial intelligence device or some process, because some companies nowadays, they have processes. It's not anymore in the hands of one person, the decision. How you deal with that?
Well, I think you raised such a great point, Francisco. And at least in my experience, organizations replace non-value or low-value activities with technology and automation. We also talked about the fact that organizations are implementing more sophisticated procurement practices. And what we're seeing is those two areas are colliding. They're coming together. And some customer organizations are saying interaction with a sales professional for us is a non-value activity that we would rather have conducted through technology. Now think about that. For those of us on this webinar that make our career in sales, there are organizations saying that engaging with us is a non-value activity. And I disagree. I think engaging with a sales and business development professional is high value. But we, on our side, as the sales professional, again, we have to believe that we bring value, but two, we have to show up as a consultant. Because some of what the customers are doing by implementing technology to replace engaging with us is because we haven't provided value. We've tried to pitch our products and lower our price, and the customer says, we don't need to engage with somebody who does that. So we have to change the nature of our engagement. Now, the other point that I'll make around this is we also have to change who we are engaging with. So many of us have grown up to engage with the day-to-day contacts, those people that are directly responsible for using or implementing our solution, and trying to pitch them or the direct manager of the department that's responsible for the implementation of our solution. Now, in the age of AI and machine learning and digital engagement, it becomes even more important for us to get to the real decision maker. Now, we at Impax define the decision maker as the person who has the desire, the authority, and the budget to buy value over price. But we also have to recognize the higher we get within an organization, the more senior people that we engage with, the more our conversation and approach has to be about their business performance. Now, there are a number of ways to get access to these more senior level people. We just oftentimes can't walk in. And let's be clear, identifying those senior level decision makers is becoming harder and harder. We believe there are a range of strategies, Francisco, that we can consider. Believe it or not, there are times when a senior level decision maker reaches out to our organization. And when they do, we have to respond well. We have to make sure that we frame the conversation in the context of how working together we can support their business performance and priorities, and make sure that we schedule the time to be able to deliver an effective message with them. Now, that doesn't happen every day. It's very infrequent that the decision maker will actually call us, but there are some additional strategies that we can use when we have to be proactive. Now, I mentioned this idea of developing a network of coaches or advocates that want to help us succeed, because if we win, they win. They are the best people within the customer organization to help us identify who the true senior level decision maker is and how to get access to that person. They can provide that introduction, they can provide the advice, or they can even get the meeting scheduled. Now, if we don't have a strong network of coaches, the next strategy that we like to consider is to create an event in the relationship cycle. Create a meeting, if you're working with an existing customer, where you can take a strategic step back to assess the relationship and the value that's being co-created by the relationship. A senior level decision maker is likely interested in participating in that kind of meeting. Now, we could also use a top-to-top strategy, having a senior executive at our company reach out to a peer at the customer company. But in doing so, we have to make sure that we coach our executive to make a good request. Now, we can also reach out directly and make the request ourselves. But again, we have to demonstrate that we've done a little bit of homework on the customer's organization, their direction, and position the fact that we believe there's a strong potential fit and how working together we can support their business direction. Now, if we don't have any of those available to us and our only route is to pursue a relationship through a procurement process like an RFP or a tender, well then let's at least show up in that process well and conduct ourselves as a value leader. What we find in those situations globally, if we receive an RFP and ask for the opportunity to deliver our message in person rather than just emailing in our proposal, our odds of success dramatically increase, because that represents an opportunity to meet with a decision maker. Now, that brings to light, just getting access to the decision maker, it's not enough. We have to deliver a compelling, customer-focused message that's so good that we get invited back. For us at Impax, that customer-focused message looks very different than many of the messages that sales professionals have historically used. You see, most of us over the course of our career had a message flow that sounded something like, here's me, here's who I am, here's who my company is, here's our solutions, here's our product, and here's our price. But when we're meeting with a senior level decision maker in this new environment, we believe it's important to first confirm your understanding of their business direction. Then share a brief overview of your organization, but then get to the business fit. Again, we define that as how you and the customer working together support the customer in achieving their business outcomes by attaining their objectives, implementing their strategies, or addressing their business issues. And then closing on proposing a clear plan of action that moves the relationship forward in a collaborative way.
Well, that sounds great, but I'm wondering one thing is more and more we see companies establishing rules. Yeah. When you ask to deliver your message in person, they would say to you like, okay, if I give you the opportunity, I will have to give the opportunity to everyone. So we are supposed to just follow the rules. How to deal in that situation is for me hard to understand. I mean,
well, I have a couple of perspectives that I offer to that, Francisco, and I want to be very careful here because I agree. There are rules that get established. First, to your point, if we ask for the opportunity to deliver our message in person, and the customer says, well, then I need to extend that same opportunity to everybody, my response would be, bring it on. Let's do it. Because I know that I'll show up and I trust in my abilities and I'm willing to go head to head with any competitor. And I believe the value leaders represented on this call would welcome that opportunity too. So in that scenario, I welcome the competition. Now, on the point of rules, it's really important to understand that those procurement rules have been put into place to strip away our value, to reduce us down to price and product specs, to commoditize us. This is where I want to be very careful, Francisco. It is our choice as to whether or not we choose to follow those rules. We are not a victim to those rules. We are not magically obligated to follow those rules. Now, I'm not saying everybody go out and break the rules. What I'm saying is recognize that you have a choice. You have free will. Those rules are put into place to commoditize your value, and you will choose which of those rules you choose to follow and which you don't. That will be up to you. But just remember, every one of those procurement rules that you choose to follow is put into place to erode your value and commoditize your organization.
So at the end is to reduce the conversation to a price dealing, basically.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. Tony, we are getting to close to the moment that we would like to open for questions. But I have one more comment and question around this is, I have seen that Impax supports a number of well-recognized companies around the globe, and you give them service globally, and hopefully DSI will support your efforts in Latin America. And first of all, thanks, because for me, you gave us a master class about this, building a relationship with customers and position value. But what customers and these customers, these important customers, I don't feel comfortable, but if you can mention some of them. What they get when they sign a program with Impax?
Well, what they get, one is an organization that cares deeply about their people. Two, they get improved efficiency and effectiveness within their business development organization. You see, implementing consistent process, consistent methodology in a common language across the business development function improves efficiency and effectiveness. We also believe that this dramatic shift of selling or pitching our company and solutions rather or replaced with our positioning the strong business fit between us and our customers, and how working together we can help drive their business performance. We believe this is transformational in the way organizations sell, and that doing so elevates the perception of value that the customer has of our relationship. It brings us up from that vendor level to be recognized more as a strategic resource. And our clients also realized accelerated results and performance. And that can be a number of things. That includes growing revenue, improving customer retention, improving customer satisfaction, perhaps growing gross margin, or even profit contribution. All of these things can happen when you change the way that you sell and manage customer relationships. And so that's what our clients oftentimes realize from us. And that's what your clients will realize from our joint work and partnership together as well. We feel so good about our relationship with DSI partners and the team that's been assembled to lead delivery. Francisco, yourself, Leonardo, Harsh, Fabiola. This is a wonderful team that we are so proud to be associated with. And we believe that your clients will receive and realize the same benefits that ours do as well.
Oh, that's great. Thanks very much for that. Well, because of the time, I would like to open up for questions. If there are anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question, you can open your microphone and speak up, or you can type in the chat your question. Even if you are not comfortable doing in English, you can do it in Portuguese, Spanish, and I will be pleased to translate for Tony.
Yes.
Tony, I have a question.
Yes.
For you. Well, in my past life working for multinational companies, they used to hire great consulting firms to increase their selling value. So, like you said, if the procurement teams are working hard to commoditize our prices, those companies work hard to really increase their prices. And sometimes the consulting firms are participated of a percentage of the gains achieved by the strategic approach.
Yes.
In raising their prices. It's a battle. And some of the time, so it's really a difficult battle, and most of the time, there is no, the amount of customer is so high that you cannot really apply the strategy that you are recommending to bond strongly with the customer and focus on their business. You don't have manpower to do it for all the customer portfolio that you have. So how can you prioritize? I know we heard about KIM, customer key account management programs, these kind of things, but how can we prioritize to make sure that we can deliver what you are proposing in terms of pursuing the value of the customer in this battle, in this situation with a lot of customers that you have to handle with?
Right. Luis, I believe that it starts with getting regular and ongoing access to the true senior level decision makers within the customer organization. You see, the procurement organization serves two basic roles. One, cost reduction, and two, compliance or contract management. And you're right, they hire consulting firms that will help them implement certain strategies to get quote unquote vendors to lower their price. As a matter of fact, you might appreciate this, Luis. Not long ago, we received an auto-generated letter from a very large client of ours here in the US, a large financial services client. And the letter was nicely worded. and I'm paraphrasing, but what it said was, we appreciate our long-standing relationship, and we're going to take a 10% reduction in price of your services. Please respond and let us know that this is okay. Well, we had the relationship with the senior executive and sent the senior executive the letter. And then again, because we have had ongoing access to the senior executive, where we were able to identify the co-created value in the relationship, the senior executive actually apologized. Hey, I'm sorry you received that. That was auto-generated by one of our strategies coming out of the consulting firm. You are exempt from that project. And actually, we send it out to everybody because a lot of people will just volunteer to do it. So having that regular and ongoing access is really important to the senior level executive.
Okay. I have a question here in the chat. It's Alessandro Dardi. He asks, I have seen many times that purchase people sometimes do not understand what they are buying. They are good on collecting the quotations and pursuing the suppliers to reduce the prices.
Right.
What would be your comment around that?
Well, I agree. I absolutely agree. And it goes back to just understanding the two fundamental purposes that the purchasing or procurement organization fulfill, which is cost reduction and compliance or contract management. They're not specialists in any product, solution, or service, or the things that we or your company can actually provide. As a matter of fact, they're usually given templates that they need to send out, and they do so. But that speaks to part of the value that we can bring. We can position ourselves as consultants, those individuals who truly understand the customer's business direction and can help the organization understand how a relationship with us impacts that business. The regular purchasing or procurement practices do not account for that type of relationship. And so I know that it's tough. I face it every single day too. Procurement is difficult. RFPs are really hard. And am I successful in every single one? No, absolutely not. But it's our job as business development professionals. It's our job to go out there every single day and do our best to fight for our value, to get access to the decision maker and highlight what our relationship actually makes for the customer versus what our solution or product costs the customer. So think about the procurement organization is wholly focused on what our product or solution costs. But what if we could articulate what our relationship with the customer actually produces, what it creates, what it makes? It's hard. I know. I do it every day, and I'm not successful every day. But it's our job to fight for our value, to do our best.
That's true. That's so true. I'm a sales professional, and I have been there for a number of years, I would say. I have another interesting one, which is how to differentiate your product or service in a very commoditized market as consumer goods.
I'd like to tell you a story, a very brief story.
I'm sorry, sorry to interrupt. That is from Ronaldo Caparros, who asked the question. Thanks, Ronaldo.
I want to tell you a very brief story. I went to a local sporting goods store and I purchased a driver, a golf club.
Mm-hmm.
Now that golf club is for sale in 1,000 stores in the US at the exact same price. Now I went to the store I chose because they understand me, because they will provide a higher level of service, because they understand that it's not about a golf club, but it's about quality of life, recreation, enjoyment. They took the time to learn about me as opposed to selling a golf club. So when it comes to differentiating our products and services, let's be honest. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes there is no differentiation. Think about that sporting goods retailer. Literally, it is the same golf club made by the manufacturer, sold in 1,000 different stores. But what is differentiating is the experience, the service, the fit that I have with that store. I agree. It can be incredibly difficult to differentiate your products. So therefore, we have to differentiate on other things. And those other things tend to be business fit, how working together with our customer, we're able to support their business direction.
No, that's a very, very interesting approach for that, because we used to hear that it's because of a service, but it sounds empty to me to put it like that, is to point out some actionable action, if I will, to that. It makes a lot of sense, and we have, I mean, is why should I choose one tire brand over another, or this dealer over the other? Yep. Is a hard work for the salespeople to do. Is important to be clear who I'm selling to.
Yeah. Yep. We have another financial services client here in the US, and for business banking, they sell loans and credit cards. And a loan is a loan. But the reason their customers choose them, their small business customers, is because those bankers understand the customer. They know them as people. They understand their business priorities, and they're able to demonstrate how a relationship between their organization supports the customer's business. A loan is a loan. There's no differentiation at all.
Yeah. And a dollar is a dollar. Doesn't matter what bank comes from.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we're ending our time for this webinar. For me, it has been a pleasure to host Tony Ennis with us, and we look forward to continue growing opportunities to cooperate in Latin America. And I invite everyone in the audience to get in touch with us for more information. You can visit our follow us in LinkedIn, or you can visit our webpage where we are sharing a lot of information. Here are some of the channels that you can use. I will personally be pleased to respond to any one of you asking for more information about DSI and Impax programs. And I would like once again to thank Tony for giving us this excellent overview about how to grow the business with our customers, and how to better serve them as well. I think I don't have access to my screen, but I think we don't have further questions. Is that right? Well, once again, thanks everyone for taking the time to be with us today. Be alert as we are going to announce more and more events about DSI And thanks again for being here with us today.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Daniel.
Ciao.
Ciao, mi amigo.